Hair is looking awesome today. What happens when you actually take time to style stuff in the morning? Good morning, everyone. My name is Wendy Literal. I am a website designer outside of DC. I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I have run into a lot. As you can imagine, I work with many businesses. I work with a lot of small businesses. I work with a lot of solopreneurs. And what does that mean? It means that everyone's got a big business plan and they want to do it all and they want to do it all right now, as we all do. I was in the same boat. So I wanted to talk a little bit about like the biggest pitfall that I see when somebody starts a new business, because you got to remember, I'm not like a business consultant, but what I see is the person that comes to me and says, "Hey, I've got a business idea. I know what I want to sell. I know what product or service I want to put out there. Can you make a website for me?" So that's the transaction that's going on there, is they want me to make a website. But what I see is they come to me and they're like, "Hey, we've got all this stuff that we want to put on a website, and we have this marketing campaign, and we want to be on Twitter, and we want to be on Facebook, and we know YouTube is really awesome, and we want to do Instagram, and we want to be all the places." Which on the surface makes absolute sense because they're a new business and they want to have as much exposure as possible, right? Like if you put your site out in all the places, in theory, all the places would send you traffic to your website. That's not really how it works. And I want to explain why. When somebody comes to me and they're like, we have this marketing campaign that we want to do, we want to have an email list, we want to have these social medias. I wanted to tell them, "Hey, wait, stop, look at what you're doing. Not all the social media stuff is created equal." When you are a solopreneur, for example, you are one person entrepreneur who is trying to build a business. The biggest problem is your time. Is you only have so much time. You are one person. Even if you outsource stuff, and if you have the funding to outsource stuff, you hire somebody that is specifically great at a specific social media to take care of that social media for you. What you run into a lot, the social medias have a way of limiting their reach. We have seen this most prevalently on Facebook. Facebook, as back in the day, you could put something out and everybody in your feed, even in your personal page, right? Like you posted something, like almost everybody that was you were friends with would see it. That's not the case anymore. And especially with pages, if you post something, your reach is just, it's garbage, right? Like it's like, why do it? So what ends up happening is that the entrepreneur will spend time putting together a social media post. They'll post it and then like nobody sees it. The same thing is true with Instagram. If you do a story on Instagram, it's only live for 24 hours. If you do a reel, it's about 48 hours, I think. It's somewhere, it's a couple of days. Whatever the actual number is, it's a couple of days. It's not a lot. What we start seeing, and Twitter's the same way, you post something and it's gone in feed like seconds after you posted it. Here's what we run into. You're one person and you have only so much time. So what ends up happening is you are pouring your effort into something that disappears like that. You don't want that as an entrepreneur. What you need to do is just kind of baby step it. Like you want to pour your information and your time and your content into something that's going to be around for a while. There's only one of you. And when there's only one of you, you need to be able to layer and layer and layer and build up this world of content, preferably on your own platform, like your website. You really kind of dive head deep into something where, yeah, there's reach on social media and there's many gurus out there that will tell you how awesome social media is. But the truth is that the platforms are designed to fill a dopamine need, something that happens immediately. You get a quick smile, a rush, or whatever. You've been watching a video and then boom, it's gone and you're on to the next. They don't suffer from a lack of content. There are millions of people on each of these platforms and they can pop out new content to a person immediately. And their goal is to get that person watching that thing on their phone to stay there as long as possible. So why would they keep pushing out one video when they've got the latest, greatest, newest, craziest thing that they can give you from somebody else? And then again, and then again. And again. So you see where I'm going with this is that they have an endless supply of content. They don't care about your content specifically. They care about keeping that person attached to their app. You need to be spending your time writing blog posts, guest posts, podcasts, YouTube videos, anything concrete that's going to be around for a minute. And when I say a minute, I mean YouTube videos can last for several years. We've all watched videos that are like 5 years old. Like take music videos, for example. You go back and you watch a music video that was uploaded like 10 years ago, right? It's a common occurrence. If you go back to Instagram, yes, you can post something to your Instagram grid, that your personal profile, and that does live there. But again, endless supply of content, they're going to give people the latest things first. Not only with endless supply of content, you have an endless amount of competition. Here's what I have a podcast. You can get that by going to creationdepot.com/podcast. I have my YouTube channel, which is just Wendy Literal over on YouTube, 2 T's and literal. And then I have my website where I blog. I have learned these tips and tricks over the years, but what's ended up happening is I have amassed this nice sizable amount of content because I have been playing on playgrounds that don't send my stuff away as soon as I've posted it. Like I still have Instagram and I'll explain why in a minute. On YouTube, I will make a video for YouTube like this one. And then I will take the code that it gives me, like my ID that it signs for my video when I upload it. I'll put that into a blog post that I write that's related over on my website. I learned this tip from Jessica Stansberry, by the way. It's a great tip. It works phenomenally. And then once I upload that blog post, I'll take that blog post link, go back to my video, edit it, and then add the link to the blog post in video description. And so what ends up happening is they start kind of cross-pollinating and both of those things go up and it works like gangbusters. It works awesome. And then as the video gets views, the blog post does well. And then as the blog post does well and people view the video on the blog post, my views over on YouTube go up. So even though they never actually go to YouTube, I still get credit for those views. So you see kind of how it's like the symbiotic relationship. It just, a rising tide lifts all ships. That's what this is. And that content is still there years later. It's great. Then now we're going to introduce the podcast, right? So the podcast, again, it's your own content. It's your own playground. You are uploading files to something that you have, right? Even though you're hosting it on another party, you're still like in control of when those podcasts are available to everybody. That's on you, right? You're paying them to host it for you. You can decide whether or not you want that to be in your podcast list. And then just like the videos, you write a blog post that talks about the podcast, you embed the podcast in the blog post, and then you know where this is going. Both of them rise. One more thing, Instagram. The reason I use Instagram as my social media of choice is because that's like my step 2. So all these things you're doing about like writing content and then being on, being guests on other blog posts and other podcasts and other videos, all that stuff drives people back to you. They drive them back to your website. That should be your foundation because you own it. No one's going to take it away from you. No one's going to decide that, we're going to sell out to so-and-so. You own it. It's your stuff. So you send people back to your website where they can get more information on whatever the topic is at the moment. And then once they're on the website, you can have a call to action. Now that call to action might be, go join me over on Instagram. That call to action might also be, why don't you join my email list? And whether you entice them with like giving away a freebie or whatever you might do, that will either grow your email list, which is your step 2, or it might have them join you on Instagram. Also step 2. This is the second part of the process. The first part is getting the content out there so you can be seen. The second part is kind of further in that relationship where you kind of get to know them a little bit better. You become friends. That's step 2. Once they're your friend and they're getting correspondence from you with your email list, or they're seeing your stuff on Instagram, whether they're looking at your stories or whatever, then you have the opportunity to push them towards a sale, or you push them towards doing an event or whatever it might be. That's the step 3. Step 1's content. Step 2 is becoming friends. And then step 3 is if you have something for them that's going to help them, sell it to them. Or if you need them to do something like go to this festival that you've been planning, that's the time you do it. But the rest of the time is just being nice, being a good person, and just sharing information that's going to help them grow their business, right? I'm telling you, hey, business buddies, don't go do this stuff with all these other social medias. It's not that they're bad. They're just not that great at building a foundation. You want to do the social media stuff, like go crazy with the social media stuff later, when you have the base, when you have the content, when you have something to grow with. And I will tell you that those things, they take a lot of time. Social media can take a lot of time. Even if you create a content calendar, even if you do this like social media in an hour, all these like little quick tips, it's never an hour, guys. It's never an hour. And that does nothing to do with you responding to comments or following up with people or leading people down a sales funnel. Like there's no way it's an hour. None. It's just because the return on investment for your time on a social media is small, like most social media is small. You just want to put your time and effort into the thing that's going to be the number 1 booster. And the number 1 booster is Google. Google looks for web pages. So why wouldn't you just put more web pages in front of Google so you can get more eyes to you? It's just like basic math. If Google is the #1 way that people find things, why wouldn't you be like, set up shop in front of Google and be like, hey, I'm here, and do that by putting more content on your webpage. And then when you do your social media, you can just put out your social media by linking to your blog posts that you've already written. Here's another like little bonus tip for you, because I know we're getting a little bit long on time here, but when you get to the point where you're doing social media, you can take that blog post that you wrote over, like, let's say you do it for 6 months, right? Before you decide that you're going to tackle the social media monster, go ahead and take the list of blog posts that you've written and then get those links in order, get your titles and your descriptions and all that stuff ready. Pop over to Twitter. I think Twitter has a scheduler now. Facebook, I'm pretty sure does. But then, or if you're using a scheduler software, which that's a whole other can of worms, they're like, don't do it on Instagram. It has come out that it actually seriously affects your reach on Instagram. Don't do a scheduler on Instagram, which sucks because I really liked Planoly, but can't do that anymore. So go ahead and take those links, take those titles, take those descriptions, and put them out and schedule out into your social media. And then do it in a way where you have the blog post, and then you have a post later that week, and then you have a post next week, and then again later that week, and then do it once a week for a couple weeks, and then do it once every couple weeks, and then do it once every couple months, and do that for like 2 years. Yeah, you heard me. The same post, the same title, the same description, the same link. Schedule it out like that. So what ends up happening is like now you've done this for, let's say, 20 blog posts that you've written over 6 months, right? So that's really not that many. So let's say you're doing this now, you've done it for 20 different blog posts that you've written. I'm just making up a magic number. It doesn't have to be 20. And you have scheduled this out in this fashion where it's a whole bunch, a little bit out, a little bit out, a little bit out. Now you're not scheduling 20 blog posts, just so we're clear. You're not scheduling 20 blog posts that first week. You're doing one blog post that you schedule kind of like repetitively coming out. And then maybe you do another blog post on the days that 2 or 3 days that it's not on that other one. And then alternatively do it out. But then you take the next week and then take 2 more blog posts and do it the same way. And then the week after that, take 2 more blog posts and do it the same way. And just kind of schedule it out like that. And what ends up happening is that you end up looking like you are putting out content every single day, which is what the social media platforms want. Why? Because their content disappears constantly. So if you're constantly putting stuff out, even if it's the same stuff, you have a higher chance that someone's going to see it and click on it and come back to your site. But none of that is possible if you don't have the content first. So if you're just starting out, I implore you, please just write the content first, do the content, have a base, have a really good foundation, and build it up on things that don't disappear. Later, you can fuss with the things that disappear. But right now, just do the blog posts, just do the YouTube videos, just do the podcast. Only focus on things that stick around. If you try to do the social media stuff right now, you are wasting your time. You are totally wasting your time. You can have success faster on social media if you would just have the base first before you get into the social media. That's my soapbox. I will hop off of it now. I just wanted to kind of steer everybody away from taking on too much, and not because I mean, I work myself to death all the time. Like I am in the hustle group. Like I get it. When you're passionate about your business, you want your business to do well, so you do more work. It's better if you just do the stuff that is going to pay you back first before you move on to the social media stuff or anything that disappears constantly. That includes things like ads too. So, all right, guys, if this has helped you, I am trying something new, actually. If you have reached this far and you want to give me a virtual tip, honestly, the biggest thing, and this kind of made me chuckle the other day. The biggest thing that you can do to kind of like leave me a tip and say, hey, thanks for this content. Thanks for kind of setting me straight on this. I would really like a coffee. I know how that sounds, but so I set up a thing on creationdepot.com/star. I will tell you that I have become kind of a chai tea latte crazy person, and the best one comes from Starbucks. I haven't found anything else that I like nearly as much. And I used to drink coffee, then I got away from it. And now I'm really big into chai tea. And honestly, the biggest thing that I could ask for, if somebody wants to give me a pat on the back, it's not likes, it's not subscribes. I don't, honestly, well, we can talk about another video about why those things really don't matter anymore. But like, if you want to buy me a tea, I would really appreciate it. So again, it's just creationdepot.com/star. And yeah, that would be amazing. Dude, I would post that to Instagram in a heartbeat. There you go. There's your social media. But yeah, you see all those things like buy me a coffee, buy me a beer, buy me some Starbucks. You'd be my best friend. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.